at one point, some people are like, what's going on with Antarctica? Have you heard this? Where they sent Admiral Byrd up?
What's going on in Antarctica?
Yeah, so the U.S. government's like, something's going on with Antarctica. There's some activity up there. We want to find out what's going on. So they send this cat named Admiral Byrd up to investigate with a giant fleet, just a fleet to go bang, bro. You know?
When was this?
I think this was in the when was Eisenhower in? Was it the
50s?
Yeah, it was
60s?
like right around just either around World War II or right after it. And so they sent Admiral Byrd up to go find out. And according to his journal that they found much later, he basically met with UFOs, Nazi UFOs.
What?
Yes.
Nazi UFOs.
The Nazis.
The Nazis had a flying saucer.
Had made a deal, basically, working with
What?
You've never heard this?
No.
It's the greatest story ever, bro. It's the greatest story.
So the Nazis made a deal with the aliens?
Yes.
Holy shit.
For technology, and the deal was they were going to work together, okay? I know this sounds crazy. So basically, the aliens go down, and Klaus Schwab's dad go down and meet with Eisenhower. It's gonna be like we could either do it one way or the other way. We could do it nice, or we can do it the wrong way. And that's where they say Eisenhower made a deal with these aliens that they could kidnap people and do experiments, but they couldn't just do it anywhere.
One of the things I find most striking is the presence of Antarctica on ancient maps, because we didn't discover it until 1820, and yet it's on maps drawn in the 1500s with great detail, which again were based on much older source maps that have now been lost to us. The astonishing thing is the so-called Pinkerton world map. I don't know if you can find it, Jamie. Drawn, I think, in 1813 or 1818, based on the latest exploration data at that time. And where Antarctica is, yeah, that one, keep going right, that one. It just shows a hole where Antarctica is. Because it was an honest map. Nobody had found it by then. But if you go back to, for example, the Wolsey-Wooler world map drawn in 1530 or thereabouts, you find Antarctica is present. That map shows Antarctica exactly where it should be. And it shows it, there we go, right-hand side. There's Antarctica at the tip of South America, just south of South Africa.
And what did they call it back then?
Well, they call it the Southern Land. And it's larger than it is today, but it was larger than it is today. Drawn in the 1500s, which we know was based on older source maps when nobody knew it existed in the 1500s. To me, the obvious answer is we are dealing with the fingerprints of a lost civilization that mapped the world and that left evidence of that mapping.
It just left a seed in my mind. I think at least one of them was part of an archaeological dig. It's old. At least one of them is old. I don't know if it was the one I worked on, but I remember something to do with an archaeological dig.
Whoa.
So that means it's not just old, it's ancient.
That'd be a great Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Right?
As all of it would, yeah.
Yeah, that tripped me out when he said that for the first time.
Yeah. That's a freak out right there. Just a couple of dudes with some brushes looking for a Tyrannosaurus Rex bone. They hit metal.
And when did they find it? You know, that they have 9 of them.
Yeah.
Well, and how could we have not heard about that? What about the guys with the brushes? How could you uncover something like that? And
well, Joe's newspaper at home does. I mean, they said it on that first day.
Oh, you mean the Roswell Daily Record?
Yeah, the one you told me. Yeah,
I have a cover. What is this here, Jamie?
This is the document, but I had to do some digging to find it.
Yes, it's just kind of... Yeah, so this is where they meet at EG&G, and this is Admiral Wilson, and there's a lot more coming out. Now, I want to be clear, George didn't put this out. He didn't leak this out to anybody. This is, I can tell you how
Who recorded this conversation?
So this was an employee of, at the time, Robert Bigelow.
And this is in 2002?
Right. Do you remember when he had that government contract called OSAP, the world all knows about now, and he had NIDS that studied the ranch? So that $22 million, everybody is saying it was for ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. The $22 million was for OSAP that was pushed through Congress, 3 congressmen, right? An astronaut. It was pushed through. And that's what that $22 million, by the way, they spend more money on Viagra every year than they do studying UFOs, if it was just this program, which I think is funny.
They probably make a lot more money from Viagra
they probably
than
do
from UFOs, too.
Well, you never know how it seeds into population. But anyway, this program this is what was the mother program. So it got the 22 million, and really it was to study Skinwalker Ranch. Oddly enough, that 22 million all was inspired by the phenomenon they were seeing at Skinwalker Ranch, because the scientists, they're seeing vehicles come through like a space in the sky.
43,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Boom!
Into 2 mile thick ice.
2 mile thick ice. Let me ask you a question. Have you heard of the Carolina Bays?
No.
Okay, so this is a great one, because this ties into that. And this is like one of those things that nobody knows about, but it's a feature that's everywhere. And so up and down, if you search for Carolina Bays, Jamie, all up and down the East Coast, it's not just the Carolina, there are literally millions of these geological features. They're literally bays. They're elliptical bays. The whole landscape's littered with them. We started to notice them with the advent of aerial photography, and then when we started doing LiDAR flyovers, we start to see them under everything. Millions of them. We also, that's on the East Coast. Then over in Missoula, we have what's called Missoula rainwater basins. Again, millions of them, all over the landscape.
Yeah, look at that.
Carolina Bays, and they're everywhere. They range in size from pretty small to pretty big, like miles in diameter, and they're all elliptical. They're all like a conic section.
Now, what do they
Look
think?
at that LiDAR one, is really good.
What do they think these are?
So there's been some debate, and one of the mainstream opinions is that they're wind and sand, Aeolian lacustrine solution created. There's none of the experiments along the lines of wind can back this up. The interesting thing about these is that they're all oriented in a specific direction. And what turns out is that there was a study done, because a guy went and mapped out thousands of them and lined them up. And it wasn't until he took into account the Coriolis effect, so the spin of the Earth, that all of a sudden all these lines, the orientation of these bays all lined up at around Saginaw Bay, so which would have been buried in ice. So here's the theory that comes out about the Carolina Bays, is that there was a massive impact into the ice. And it basically threw up splash damage of ice boulders the size of baseball stadiums on suborbital trajectories that then created this saturation bombardment and liquefaction of the entire East Coast and over there in Missoula.
The missing information? What missing information?
No, the missing 411.
What do you mean by that?
Which is all these people have mysteriously disappeared in force. And they don't know
you're not
how.
talking about the missing 411 like information.
No.
So missing 411 is the number of people that have been abducted?
Yeah, and it's all really weird because they all have a lot of similar characteristics. German-born, like German background, highly intelligent, and I don't know how weird you want to get, bro.
I want to get weird.
Okay, bro. They think this might be some time-traveling Nazi shit, bro. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but it's true, dude. That's what they believe, and they made a deal.
These they folk?
Who?
When you say they believe, who are these they?
The conspiracy people.
Are they united on?
No, there's a whole different. There's a lot of warring clans, bro. There's a lot of warring clans, dude.
But that one
How deep do you want to go?
What is interesting is how advanced the engineering of the Germans was. It's really interesting when you think about car manufacturers like Audi and Volkswagen, Mercedes. It's all out of BMW. Didn't BMW make engines for Nazi fighter pilots? I think that's what they first started off doing.
They all did, bro.
But I think that's what BMW did, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then we were
Audi made Hitler a car.
Yeah.
Hitler had a race car.
That was never part of their marketing plan, though.
Yeah,
that would have been a crazy campaign.
So they somehow or another had acquired a stable version. Did they say that the stable version had come with this craft?
Yeah, it absolutely came with the craft, yeah.
So at the time, you having a firm knowledge of the periodic chart and knowing what was real and what wasn't real, what was your reaction to having this stable element 115 that wasn't even supposed to exist?
Well, everything was impossible.
Right.
I mean, down to the metal. I did get a chance to look inside the craft on only one occasion. And this was important because where the reactor sat might have been critical to how it operated, since everything operates without any interconnection, so the placement of components might be critical. So they allowed me to go inside and...
Does it actually look like that?
It depends. Some of them are just farmland. Some of them are still lakes. They have bodies of water in them. They mostly show up with LiDAR.
Oh, look at this, Jamie.
There are a few spots
that you going to Google Earth.
Yeah. You can see them on Google Earth. There's...
Oh, that's there right there?
That's more of a natural lake, but they're literally everywhere and they overlap. The whole landscape's made up of them.
Didn't they find most of them through LiDAR, though?
Yeah,
so a lot of them
LiDAR.
under the
So
sediment.
they started to see them with aerial photography, and then LiDAR, they just turned up everywhere. Under farmland. I didn't send you the photos of the bays with LiDAR. But it's just the crazy story about their creation is that these are splash damage from a cosmic impact into the ice, and they think it may be related to the Younger Dryas. So one of the impacts into the ice kicks up massive ice boulders that are coming in at 6 or 7 kilometers per second that take 7 or 8 minutes of these ballistic trajectories to come down from Saginaw Bay and then just all over the East Coast and Missoula, and it would have exterminated anything that lived there. It literally liquefied the ground. The ground would have the earthquakes and the impacts would have turned the ground into quicksand. Like we see in the aftermath of earthquakes, you have cars that are half buried in mud. Like it literally liquefies the earth. And it was just a saturation bombardment on the East Coast. And it's people now just, we play golf on them and it's all this stuff. But it's a catastrophic landscape, the entire East Coast.
Which
and
is what
likely
you would
off the coast as well.
So this image is what?
Yeah.
This is from South Carolina's government page talking about it.
Carolina Bays. You see their elliptical, they all orient in a certain direction.
And so the conventional explanation is wind?
Wind and basically water. Yeah, but it doesn't, none of the experiments make sense. There's a guy on YouTube, Antonio Zamora's, he's also written a paper on it and a couple of books. But he shows that, there's always been a bit of debate about them. But by far the best, I think, explanation for them is the ice boulder hypothesis. It's crazy to think about it. Impact happens over here. 8, 9, 10 minutes later, you just have this rain of just destruction coming from the sky that obliterates the entire coast of the United States.
That's what you'd expect if there's something that hit at a high speed and of course there'd be fallout. Things would get sprayed about. It would make sense to find that if the Younger Dryas climate impact hypothesis is true, there would be something like that.
They've done experiments. Yeah, so they've you shoot like a bullet into ice at an angle, and it shows like the shattering of ice and the orientation. So we can step backwards from the bays and look at, okay, what's the energy required for the impact and at what angle was the impact coming in? And it's something like it would have been probably a mile-wide impactor up at Saginaw Bay that might have ejected that much ice to do that.
We're so vulnerable.
Yeah,
Cosmic
we're in
shooting
We are
gallery.
so vulnerable, and we like to think that this is all permanent. I mean, you think about how ridiculous human beings are. We spend most of our lives accumulating stuff, trying to get status, trying to, fuck as many people as we can and get the biggest house. And meanwhile, there's rocks headed our way that are going 45,000 miles an hour that could exterminate 90% of the population instantaneously and completely erase every little bit of information we've ever accumulated, all the knowledge, all of our history, all of our understanding of physics, mathematics, the astronomy, everything. Gone. See ya. Goodbye. Welcome to being a fucking ape man again.
Yep.
Welcome to eating whatever the fuck you can get in your mouth and dying when you're 12.
And having people try to steal all that from you.
Yeah.
So the area of Antarctica they went to was New Schwabenland.
New Schwabenland. Do you think that's why he dresses with the space
100%, bro.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun. So they're all in contact with the aliens.
I think, well, dude, I mean, it gets into. See, a lot of people think this is about power and money.
What do you think it's about?
It's a spiritual war, dude. These people got all the money and all the power. They got more than they could ever want.
I think they want complete control.
But that gets into spirituality, not just complete control, but lowering your vibration and jacking your loosh. Your
But
spirit energy.
You think they're doing that consciously, or do you think they're doing it like they're chasing the economics, and along the way it actually becomes a spiritual battle? Because everything is a spiritual battle.
I think it's done purposefully. I think they're
evil.
I think they're at low. There's low frequency stuff going on, and they've made deals with people and things, and that's why I think's going on.
That was very ambiguous, but I understand where you're going with it.
Okay. I mean, if you want me, I just don't want to get too weird too fast, bro. But I'm like,
We just opened up. We're good.
I 100% believe this is a spiritual war, and that these people are working with dark entities, and that's what this is all about.
Let's imagine this. If there was like an alien race that came here from another planet and gave just a random group of people, technology.
Yeah.
Gave them an understanding of things and how to do things. How much of a record do you think they would keep of that? Wouldn't that be something that people would want to talk about?
Yeah, but that's the beauty of the internet, that we're now able to do that. We could never do that before.
So you think that's what this story is about? That the story is about they went there and they met with aliens and the aliens gave them information?
I mean, Hitler was really into the occult.
Yeah.
Like he would
was.
send people all over the place.
No, he had a lot of bad ideas.
Yeah, he had a lot of bad ideas. But see, the occult has a negative connotation to it. Not everything involved with the occult is negative. What the occult really means is secret.
Secret.
So there's not as much
That's
around.
what the word means?
Yeah, it's basically it means like it's hidden.
I always associate it with people that believe in silly shit. When someone starts talking about the occult, I'm always like, how do you feel about ghosts? You know, how do you feel about, like, when people start talking about, like, dark magic, I'm like, for real? You sure?
I believe in that there's some energy manipulation, but
I don't disbelieve.
Yeah.
I don't disbelieve.
Listen, I don't know what's going on. I just kind of read stuff, and I'm like, how does this fit into the puzzle, right? How does this fit into the jigsaw of life?
There was almost nothing other than a small foldable hatchway that looked recognizable. Everything was really unworldly, to pick on it, a way to describe it.
So you get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
Yeah, you can't really stand up till you get to the very center of it.
And how
but
tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
And what do you think this was designed for?
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow. So these little 3-foot tallish creatures.
Yeah, and the seats were small too. I mean, obviously it was made, for something small. But there is no, there's nothing else in there. There's just seats, the reactor, and some of the subcomponents. There's no control panels. There's no bathroom. There's no decorative components or artwork or anything that you would recognize or trim. I mean, it's just a very bare bones thing.
You're not seeing any screens.
Well, there are archways around it that are part of the superstructure, and that one of the archways can become transparent. When I was in there was another group working on one of the archways, and you could call that a screen, more or less.
You're probably like one of the most important figures when it comes to journalism in UFOs. And when you broke the Bob Lazar story, is that 89? When was that?
1989.
1989, I remember reading about it. I remember hearing about it. I remember watching clips on television and watching countless Bob Lazar interviews. It all came out of you. I mean, did you think at that time, what was your thoughts about UFOs before you had met Bob Lazar, and how much did it change while you got to know him and hear his story?
It changed quite a bit. I had not really given it much thought at all. It's probably the same level of curiosity as most people. You go about your life, you pay your bills, you go to work, you love your family, and it's always out there somewhere. Hey, I wonder what the deal is on that.
Right.
But had not really dwelled on it until it was a day in 1987. Into the studio comes a guy named John Lear. And I had heard sort of a little bit about him. His family was famous. His dad developed the Lear jet, the 8-track tape. John had run for the state senate, and he had a certain amount of credibility with our news organization, KLAS-TV, because he had helped us break a really big story. And the story was the stealth fighter, the F-117. He had told my boss, Ned Day, managing editor, about this amazing plane that was invisible to radar flying up in Tonopah in Area 51. We had an interest in Area 51, not UFO related, but Ned broke that story. It went national. So John Lear comes into the station one day with a stack of what turned out to be UFO documents. He plops them on Ned's desk and says, Ned, this is going to be the next biggest story, the biggest story in history. It's a UFO cover-up. Aliens are here. Technology's been recovered. Ned takes a look at it and says, I'm not doing this story. If it was true, I'd already know about it. This is crazy. Well, I'm eavesdropping, as I tend to do. I'm a curious person. So as he's going out, I said, Lear, let me take a look at this material. And I looked at it, I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. At the time, I was producing and hosting this little public affairs show, 30-minute interview show. It would air Sunday morning at 6 o'clock. Nobody watches it. It would be interviewing a city councilman, a county commissioner. What the heck, I'll put Lear on there. And I let him go. And he told me this big scenario about secret treaties with aliens and recovered technology and a giant cover-up. Some of the information sounded outrageous. Some of it seemed like it would be worth checking out.
Antarctica, the coldest, driest, and most remote continent on Earth, has always been a place of mystery. For centuries, it has captivated the human imagination with tales of lost civilizations, hidden bases, and secrets buried under miles of ice. However, recent discoveries in Antarctica are challenging everything we thought we knew about the history of this frozen landmass, and perhaps even human history itself. Today, we dive into the latest findings from Antarctica that are causing a stir in the scientific community and beyond. These discoveries could have profound implications for our understanding of the world's history, and they may even hint at a hidden chapter in the human story that has remained undiscovered until now. Let's begin with some background on Antarctica. Situated at the southernmost point of our planet, it is a place of extremes, with temperatures plummeting as low as 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 89.2 degrees Celsius. It is one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth. The continent is covered by a thick ice sheet that contains around 70% of the world's fresh water. Beneath this ice, however, lies a landscape that we are only beginning to explore. Antarctica was officially discovered in 1820 by Russian explorers Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen and Mikhail Lazarev. Since then, it has remained largely unexplored due to its harsh conditions and remote location. For most of modern history, it was thought that this icy expanse had little to reveal in terms of human history. After all, who could have lived in such a desolate place? But recent scientific advancements, such as satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, and ice core sampling, have started to peel back the layers of ice and reveal a much more complex picture. What we are beginning to discover is that Antarctica may have played a far more significant role in human history than we ever imagined. One of the most astonishing findings is the recent discovery of ancient structures deep beneath the Antarctic ice. These structures, which have been detected using ground-penetrating radar, are unlike anything we have seen before. They appear to be large, megalithic formations that resemble pyramids or other monumental architecture. Some researchers believe these structures could be as old as 10,000 years, or even older. The idea of ancient pyramids in Antarctica may sound like the plot of a science fiction movie, but there is some intriguing evidence to support this theory. Satellite images have shown pyramid-like shapes in several locations on the continent. These shapes have sharp, triangular sides and seem to align with cardinal points, much like the pyramids of Egypt and Mesoamerica. While some skeptics argue that these formations are simply natural geological features, others point out that their regular shapes and precise alignments are unlikely to have formed by chance. If these structures are indeed man-made, it raises a host of questions. Who built them? When were they built? And why? To answer these questions, we need to delve deeper into the history of Antarctica. During the last ice age, which ended around 12,000 years ago, much of the world was covered in ice. However, recent research suggests that Antarctica may have been ice-free, or at least partially ice-free, during this period. This means that it could have been habitable for humans or other advanced civilizations. The idea that Antarctica was once ice-free is supported by a number of ancient maps, the most famous of which is the Piri Reis map. This map, drawn by a Turkish admiral in 1513, shows the coast of Antarctica without ice. What's more, it is remarkably accurate, showing details that were not officially discovered until the 20th century. Some historians believe that the Piri Reis map is based on much older source maps, possibly created by an ancient civilization that had explored Antarctica long before the continent was covered in ice. If Antarctica was indeed ice-free during the last ice age, it opens up the possibility that an advanced civilization could have lived there. But who were these people, and what happened to them? One theory is that they were the remnants of a lost civilization, perhaps even Atlantis. According to the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, Atlantis was a powerful civilization that existed around 9,000 years before his time and was destroyed in a cataclysmic event. Some researchers believe that Antarctica could have been the location of Atlantis, and that the structures recently discovered beneath the ice are the remnants of this once great civilization. Of course, the idea that Antarctica was the home of Atlantis is highly speculative, but it is not without some basis, in fact. Plato described Atlantis as being located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which many historians believe refers to the Strait of Gibraltar. This would place it somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, possibly near the South Pole. Furthermore, recent discoveries in Antarctica suggest that the continent may have experienced a massive geological upheaval in the past. This could have caused the rapid freezing of the continent and the burial of any civilizations that may have existed there. But the mysteries of Antarctica do not end with the possibility of ancient civilizations. In addition to the megalithic structures, researchers have discovered a number of other anomalies that suggest the continent may be hiding even more secrets. For example, scientists have recently detected strange high-frequency radio signals coming from deep beneath the ice. These signals, which appear to be artificial in nature, have baffled researchers. Some have speculated that they could be evidence of a hidden underground base or even a UFO. The idea of a secret base in Antarctica is not as far-fetched as it might seem. During World War II, there were rumors that the Nazis had established a secret base in Antarctica, known as Base 211 or New Swabia. According to these rumors, the Nazis were conducting advanced research in the Antarctic, possibly even experimenting with advanced technology or weaponry. After the war, the U.S. government launched Operation Highjump, a military expedition to Antarctica led by Admiral Richard E. Byrd. The official purpose of the mission was to establish a research base, but some conspiracy theorists believe that it was actually an attempt to locate and destroy the rumored Nazi base. While there is little concrete evidence to support the idea of a Nazi base in Antarctica, there is no doubt that the continent has been the focus of intense interest from governments and military organizations around the world. In recent years, there have been reports of unusual military activity in Antarctica, including the construction of new bases and the deployment of advanced surveillance equipment. So what are these governments looking for? Could they be searching for the remains of an ancient civilization or evidence of extraterrestrial life? Or is there something even more mysterious going on beneath the ice? One of the most intriguing possibilities is that Antarctica may be home to a secret underground network of tunnels and caves. These tunnels, which are believed to be formed by geothermal heat, could provide a warm, habitable environment beneath the ice. Some researchers have suggested that these tunnels could be the remnants of an ancient transportation network, possibly used by a lost civilization or even by extraterrestrial visitors. There is also the possibility that Antarctica could be hiding the remains of an ancient city or complex. Recent satellite images have shown what appear to be rectangular shapes beneath the ice, which some researchers believe could be the foundations of buildings. If these structures are indeed man-made, they could provide valuable clues about the people who once lived in Antarctica. But perhaps the most exciting discovery in Antarctica is the recent identification of microbial life beneath the ice. In 2013, scientists discovered a colony of microbes living in Lake Vostok, a subglacial lake buried beneath more than 2 miles of ice. These microbes, which have been isolated from the rest of the world for millions of years, could provide valuable insights into the origins of life on Earth, and possibly even life on other planets. The discovery of life in such an extreme environment has led some researchers to speculate that Antarctica could be home to other forms of life, possibly even more complex organisms. If this is the case, it could have profound implications for our understanding of biology and evolution. Moreover, the discovery of life in Antarctica could also have implications for the search for extraterrestrial life. If life can exist in such harsh conditions on Earth, it raises the possibility that similar forms of life could exist on other icy worlds, such as Europa or Enceladus. So what does all of this mean for our understanding of human history? Could Antarctica really be hiding evidence of a lost civilization or even extraterrestrial visitors? And if so, what would this mean for our understanding of our place in the universe? The truth is, we don't have all the answers yet, but what is clear is that Antarctica is a place of great mystery and potential. As new discoveries continue to be made, we are likely to learn even more about this frozen continent and the secrets it holds. One thing is certain: Antarctica is no longer just a frozen wasteland at the bottom of the world. It is a place of great scientific interest and intrigue, a place where the boundaries of our knowledge are constantly being pushed. And as we continue to explore this remote and enigmatic continent, we may find that it holds the key to understanding some of the greatest mysteries of human history, and perhaps even the universe itself. In conclusion, the recent discoveries in Antarctica have opened up a world of possibilities. Whether it's the remnants of a lost civilization, evidence of extraterrestrial life, or clues to the origins of life on Earth, there is no doubt that this frozen continent still has many secrets to reveal. As we continue to explore and study Antarctica, we may find that it holds the answers to questions we never even thought to ask. So stay tuned as we continue to uncover the mysteries of Antarctica, a land that could very well rewrite the history of humanity and our understanding of the world. Antarctica, a land of ice, mystery, and untold secrets buried beneath miles of frozen terrain. For centuries, it has been a place of intrigue and speculation, shrouded in an icy veil that has kept most of its secrets hidden from the rest of the world. But now, a recent discovery on this enigmatic continent has the potential to rewrite everything we thought we knew about human history. Joe Rogan has brought this discovery into the spotlight, delving into its implications, possibilities, and the questions it raises about the origins of human civilization. The news, which has captivated scientists, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike, centers around an unexpected finding that challenges the mainstream understanding of our past. What exactly is this discovery? And how could it fundamentally alter our perception of history? The recent discovery in Antarctica involves a series of underground structures that appear to be man-made, suggesting the presence of an ancient civilization that predates the accepted timeline of human development. Using advanced ground-penetrating radar, a team of international researchers has detected what appears to be a network of artificial structures buried beneath the ice. These structures include large, rectangular formations that resemble buildings or complexes and tunnels that stretch for miles. The discovery was made in a remote area of East Antarctica, a region that has long been inaccessible due to its harsh climate and rugged terrain. However, with the advancements in technology and the increasing interest in exploring the last unexplored frontier of Earth, scientists have been able to penetrate deeper into the ice than ever before. What they found has left the scientific community buzzing with excitement and questions. One of the most startling aspects of this discovery is the sheer size of these underground formations. Some of the detected structures are over 300 feet long, and others appear to be interconnected through a series of tunnels, suggesting a complex network that could have served as a city or a settlement. This raises a profound question. Who built these structures and when? Could they be remnants of a lost civilization that predates all known human history? To understand the magnitude of this discovery, we need to look back at what we know about Antarctica's history. Antarctica, as we see it today, is a frozen desert. But this wasn't always the case. Millions of years ago, Antarctica was a lush, green landmass, teeming with forests and rivers, much like any other continent. Fossil records show that it was once home to a wide range of plants and animals, including dinosaurs. However, around 34 million years ago, the continent began to freeze over, a process that led to the formation of the massive ice sheet that covers it today. This freezing occurred long before humans are believed to have existed, which is why the discovery of these structures is so perplexing. Mainstream science tells us that human civilization is only around 10,000 to 12,000 years old, beginning with the rise of agriculture and settled communities in the Fertile Crescent. Yet, if the structures beneath the ice are indeed man-made, it could mean that advanced human societies existed long before this period, potentially as far back as 100,000 years ago or more. Joe Rogan, along with various experts, has speculated on the origins and purpose of these structures. Could they have been built by an advanced human civilization that thrived in Antarctica before it was covered in ice? Or could they have been constructed by a non-human intelligence, such as an extraterrestrial race that visited Earth in ancient times? The possibilities are endless, and the lack of definitive evidence only adds to the intrigue. One theory that has gained traction in recent years is that Antarctica was once the home of a lost civilization, possibly one that existed during the last ice age. Some researchers suggest that this civilization could have been similar to Atlantis, a mythical city described by Plato that was said to have existed more than 9,000 years before his time. According to this theory, Antarctica was once located in a different position on the globe, closer to the equator, and was inhabited by an advanced society with knowledge and technology far beyond what we currently understand. Proponents of this theory point to the work of Charles Hapgood, a geologist who proposed the concept of crustal displacement. According to Hapgood, the Earth's crust could have shifted dramatically at some point in the past, causing entire continents to move to new locations. This theory, which has been largely dismissed by mainstream science, suggests that Antarctica could have been located in a temperate climate zone just 12,000 years ago, making it habitable for human civilization. Hapgood's theory gained further attention when he presented it to Albert Einstein, who wrote a foreword for his book, Earth's Shifting Crust. Einstein acknowledged that while the idea was speculative, it was not impossible and warranted further investigation. Could it be that Hapgood was onto something, and that the recent discovery of these structures is the evidence needed to prove his theory correct? On the other hand, skeptics argue that these structures could have natural explanations, such as ice formations, subglacial volcanic activity, or even unusual rock formations. They caution against jumping to conclusions and emphasize the need for more data and rigorous scientific analysis. However, the fact that these formations appear to be rectangular and symmetrical is difficult to dismiss as mere natural phenomena. Adding to the mystery, there have been reports of strange magnetic anomalies in the area where the structures were found. These anomalies have led some to speculate that there may be something metallic or highly conductive beneath the ice. Could this be evidence of ancient technology or even an underground power source? The magnetic anomalies have drawn the attention of not just scientists, but also military organizations, which have been known to conduct secretive operations in Antarctica over the years. The potential implications of these discoveries are enormous. If there was indeed an advanced civilization in Antarctica, it could fundamentally change our understanding of human history, our origins, and even our future. It would raise questions about the nature of human development and the possibility of other unknown civilizations that may have existed long before recorded history. It could also provide clues about how civilizations rise and fall and what factors contribute to their eventual decline. Moreover, the discovery could challenge the current understanding of human migration and adaptation. How did these people survive in such harsh conditions? What kind of technology did they possess? Could they have had contact with other ancient civilizations, such as those in Mesopotamia, Egypt, or South America? The idea that ancient civilizations were more interconnected than previously believed is not new, but the discovery in Antarctica could provide tangible evidence to support this theory. The discovery has also sparked a renewed interest in ancient maps, particularly the Piri Reis map, a 16th century map that appears to show the coastline of Antarctica free of ice. How could a map created over 500 years ago depict the continent's features so accurately long before the technology existed to even see Antarctica, let alone map it? Some theorists suggest that this map is evidence of advanced knowledge passed down from an ancient civilization, or that it was based on even older maps created by a people who lived when Antarctica was ice-free. While these questions remain unanswered, one thing is certain: the discovery in Antarctica has reignited debates about human history, ancient civilizations, and the mysteries of our planet. Joe Rogan's platform has brought attention to this incredible find, encouraging people to think beyond conventional narratives and consider the vast possibilities that exist when we challenge what we know. So, where do we go from here? The next steps for the scientific community are crucial. Further research is needed to confirm the nature of these structures and to determine whether they are indeed man-made. This will require more expeditions, drilling through miles of ice, and using state-of-the-art technology to analyze samples and collect data. If the structures are found to be artificial, it would open up a whole new field of study and potentially lead to one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in human history. However, conducting such research in Antarctica is no easy task. The continent's extreme conditions make it one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, with temperatures that can plummet to -100 degrees Fahrenheit and winds that reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour. Researchers will need to navigate these challenges while also dealing with logistical issues, such as transporting equipment and supplies to remote locations and ensuring the safety of all personnel involved. There is also the issue of international cooperation. Antarctica is governed by the Antarctic Treaty System, a series of agreements signed by multiple countries that regulate the use of the continent for scientific purposes. Any expedition will require the approval and cooperation of these countries, and the discovery of an ancient civilization could lead to debates over who has the right to study and potentially claim the findings. In the meantime, the discovery has already inspired a wave of interest from the public, with people around the world eager to learn more about this mysterious find. It has also fueled numerous conspiracy theories, with some claiming that the discovery is being covered up, or that more secrets lie hidden beneath the ice. While many of these theories are based on speculation rather than evidence, they highlight the fascination that Antarctica holds for people and the desire to uncover the truth about our past. Joe Rogan's discussion on this topic has encouraged people to keep an open mind and to explore the unknown. He has brought in various experts, from archaeologists and historians to scientists and explorers, to share their insights and opinions on what this discovery could mean. The conversations are thought-provoking and engaging, pushing the boundaries of conventional thinking and encouraging viewers to think critically about the information presented.
Even before the Ice Age, Antarctica was a continent devoid of ice. Actually, it looked more like a tropical forest with towering trees and a wide variety of animals millions of years ago. How can we tell? We know through the relic hunting process. Several significant fossils were recovered by Captain Scott and his crew near the Beardmore Glacier in the Transantarctic Mountains before they perished in 1912 on their return trek from the South Pole. Prehistoric seed fern tree fossils were unearthed during the retrieval and analysis of this collection. The existence of such vegetation on the continent indicates that it was significantly warmer in the past. Additionally, the fact that these fossils are so similar to Glossopteris fossils discovered in South America, South Africa, and Australia lends credence to the theory of continental drift, which was advocated by Alfred Wegener and proposes that the continents were once connected but have since drifted apart. Our current understanding of plate tectonics and the processes underlying continental drift was born in the 1960s. Throughout geologic time, the positioning of Antarctica has changed due to seafloor spreading and subduction, just like that of other continents. As a result, the continent has never always been placed above the South Pole. Tectonic plate patterns and configurations have indeed changed significantly throughout the course of geological history. As an example, some 450 million years ago, the crust of Antarctica spanned the equator, and the crust of England was in the southern hemisphere. Gondwana, the southern portion of the supercontinent Pangaea, was formed around 200 million years ago, when the continental crusts of Antarctica, South America, Africa, India, and Australia were connected. At some point after this, Gondwana began to break apart, becoming Antarctica as its own continent. Since then, the southern continents have given way to Antarctica, which has been slowly drifting towards the poles. The Antarctic plate, of which the Antarctic continent is a part, is one of the 7 main tectonic plates on Earth. The Antarctic plate consists of the oceanic crust under the oceans that encircle Antarctica and the continental crust that makes up Antarctica and its continental shelf. When did Antarctica enter its deep freeze, and what caused it? While it's true that a continent needs to be in a polar location to form an ice sheet, this doesn't explain the continent's extreme cold or the extent of the ice cover. To get a whole picture, we need to think about other massive changes in Earth's atmosphere and geography that helped to seal off Antarctica's climate and cut down on the amount of heat that got there from lower latitudes. It is worthwhile to summarize Antarctica's tectonic history from its time as a part of Gondwana forward before delving into the complete variety of causes. During the early Jurassic period, some 180 million years ago, rifting started to divide Gondwana apart. By 150 million years ago, a large sea had formed between Antarctica and Africa. Separation of the African and South American continents started around 130 million years ago during the early Cretaceous period. Around 125 million years ago, the Indian subcontinent broke away from Antarctica and began to move north. During the later Cretaceous period, some 100 million years ago, the crust of Antarctica started to separate from that of Australia and New Zealand. Antarctica will have passed over the South Pole by now. A vast ocean separated Antarctica and Australia about 40 million years ago during the Tertiary period. The Antarctic Peninsula broke away from southern South America approximately 35 million years ago, creating the Drake Passage. Because of the lower amount of solar input at higher latitudes and the larger seasonal variations in brightness, the climate of the continent changed as it migrated to its current location. Yet, even at its most recent, over 100 million year old location, the temperature was substantially higher than it is today. Up to 85 degrees south, fossils have been found that point to polar woods that existed at different points in time. Thus, the current frigid climate of Antarctica cannot be explained just by its location. Rather, we need to look at the bigger picture to see what changed the world's climate from the Cretaceous period to now. A warmer, lower atmosphere spread across the entire world around 100 million years ago prevented the accumulation of glacier ice everywhere due to the significantly higher concentration of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases compared to today. Also, the land-sea configuration close to Antarctica allowed warm currents to reach high southern latitudes, which helped to temper the polar temperature. Greenhouse gas concentrations have been steadily declining since the end of the Miocene, when they were at their highest, and have been trending downward since at least 55 million years ago, when a worldwide cooling trend began. The expansion of the ocean between Antarctica and Australia and the division of the South American continent into the Antarctic Peninsula are two major tectonic events that also account for Antarctica's cooling. Because of these shifts in land and sea combination, the icy circumpolar current was able to form and begin its clockwise journey around the continent, blocking the coast from warm water. Glaciers in Antarctica likely started to form in favorable sites some 38 million years ago during the late Eocene, according to research into continental rock formations and ocean-bottom sediment deposits. Recent remains of tundra plants found in the McMurdo Dry Valleys, however, indicate that the climate was comparable to the present-day southern tip of South America even as late as 14 million years ago. The East Antarctic ice sheet was at its current size around 13.8 million years ago, shortly after this, when Antarctica cooled even further. There was a maximum expansion of the West Antarctic ice sheet around 6 million years ago. This happened a lot sooner than in the Northern Hemisphere, where ice sheets formed from glaciers after 3 million years ago. Many scientists are still trying to piece together the complicated puzzle of when exactly Antarctica cooled and what factors led to the creation of the ice sheets. Alterations to the Earth's overall energy balance and shifts in the pattern of atmospheric circulation were significant factors, along with tectonic processes and a decrease in greenhouse gases. In any case, an enormous 20-armed organism that looks strikingly like a strawberry has been unearthed from the bottom of the Antarctic Ocean, marking a significant finding. This fascinating creature, officially known as Promachocrinus gregarius, has captured the interest of researchers and is colloquially known as the strawberry feather star. As the study team retrieved their nets from the frigid Antarctic Ocean, they discovered the species. The crew was astounded by the creature's unique characteristics. This isn't the initial instance of researchers doing such an expedition. The scientific team set out on multiple journeys from 2008 to 2017 in search of Antarctic feather stars, or Promachocrinus, cryptic marine animals. These enormous beings can reach lengths of 65 to an incredible 65,000 feet. Unlike other marine invertebrates, these species have an unearthly look. Scientists decided to give this mysterious species the Latin name for strawberries because of how similar they looked. An extraordinary array of about 20 arms adorn the alien-like creature's center body. A deep reddish tone can be achieved when its color is changed from a purplish hue. The study does not provide precise measurements of the species, but it does highlight its massive size. The identification of this new species was dependent on genetic testing and careful examination of its physical characteristics. Deep within the Southern Ocean, between 215 and 3,840 feet, lives the Antarctic strawberry feather star. There are two separate parts to the Antarctic strawberry feather star that becomes apparent when looking at pictures. The bottom half has a rough and striped appearance, and the top half has fluffy, feathery arms. The bottom piece takes on a triangle shape, while the top section broadens and then narrows to form a rounded base. It is believed that the gradual separation of several arms is responsible for this unique texture. Greg Rouse, Emily McLaughlin, and Nerita Wilson are all well-regarded members of the research team. A number of Antarctic feather star species, including the newly found Promachocrinus gregarius, were documented by their joint efforts. But there was a temperate rainforest that flourished in Antarctica around 90 million years ago, and scientists have found evidence of it. This West Antarctic forest was located 90 million years ago, just 560 miles from the then South Pole, yet its climate was surprisingly mild. What's astonishing about this discovery is that it was found in a sediment core sample that was retrieved in February 2017 from the ocean floor in the Amundsen Sea off the coast of West Antarctica. The sample contained ancient forest soil with an abundance of fossilized plant pollen and spores, and CT scans revealed a dense network of fossilized plant roots. The absence of a substantial Antarctic ice sheet seems to have allowed for far greater than previously estimated carbon dioxide concentrations, which allowed for relatively mild temperatures, an annual mean temperature of approximately 54 degrees Fahrenheit. Near Pine Island Glacier in West Antarctica, a core sample of fossilized Cretaceous forest soil was collected using a portable seafloor drill rig operated by the research ship RV Polarstern. The sample was commented on by Johan Kleges, a geologist at the Alfred Wegener Institute and lead author of the paper. While doing the first onboard evaluations, they noticed right away that the sediment layer had an unusual coloration. It was obviously different from the layers above it. What's more, their first analyses revealed that they had discovered a layer that had originated on land, not in the ocean, at a depth of 89 to 98 feet below the ocean floor. Researchers discovered fossilized pollen and spores from plants in the fine-grained clay and silt of the forest soil layer, including some from the first flowering plants ever found at such high southern latitudes. Another surprise came when the scientists ran the sample through X-ray CT scans. The results showed a dense network of roots, so well preserved that individual cell structures could be seen. According to the abundant plant fossils, the West Antarctic coast was once a marshy environment where temperate rainforests flourished around 93 to 83 million years ago. These rainforests were comparable to those that exist now, for example, on the South Island of New Zealand. Even though there would have been 4 months of darkness every year due to the South Pole, how could a temperate rainforest have survived at around 82 degrees south latitude, 560 miles away from the South Pole's location, 90 million years ago? According to Klages, there were several steps to the analysis, but the most important one was determining that the southern polar region's climate during the mid-Cretaceous period could have reached temperatures as high as 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and that the sea level was 560 feet higher than it is today. This new sediment core provided the first opportunity to better understand the Earth's warmest climate in the last 140 million years. Scientists studied the current-day climatic circumstances of the plant's modern-day relatives to gain a better understanding of the climate during this warmest period of the Cretaceous. Next, the soil sample was examined for biological and geochemical markers of temperature and precipitation. This helped the scientists gain a better understanding of the levels of rainfall and air and water temperatures in the old West Antarctic rainforest. Consolidated, these analyses offered a first look at the temperate environment that this 90-million-year-old swampy rainforest once flourished in. There was moderately abundant rainfall, about 41 inches or about the same as Wales, according to the scientists, an annual mean air temperature of 54 degrees Fahrenheit, an average summer temperature of 66 degrees Fahrenheit, and water temperatures of 68 degrees Fahrenheit in the rivers and swamps. If the Antarctic ice sheet had been far thinner and more vegetated, and if carbon dioxide levels had been greater than originally estimated, then these circumstances may have occurred according to the climate models that the scientists ran. These results show how significant polar ice sheets are in reducing global warming and how much of an impact carbon dioxide has on Earth. Our current understanding is that the Cretaceous period could have seen 4 consecutive months of darkness. Nevertheless, because of the elevated carbon dioxide content, the weather around the South Pole remained mild and devoid of ice masses. This winter, the world-famous Rideau Canal in Ottawa will not be able to transform into an ice rink because it is too shallow. This is a very concerning development. The Antarctic, thousands of miles to the south, is experiencing a comparable but much larger scale problem with sea ice formation. On February 13, 2023, the Antarctic sea ice extent, defined as the region with at least 15% sea ice cover, hit a record low. Although Antarctic ice sheet mass has been declining for some time, sea ice extent has been declining sharply since 2016. If current trends continue, the world's sea level might rise by 11 feet due to the eventual melting of the West Antarctic ice sheet. The Antarctic continent, encircled by the Southern Ocean and covered in ice, contains 90% of the world's ice. The ice sheet covering land is the product of thousands of years of snow accumulation and compaction, and the ice shelf covering the sea is the result of the same process. Both the West Antarctic and East Antarctic ice sheets are part of the Antarctic ice sheet. The West Antarctic ice sheet is mostly located below sea level. Sea ice, which is formed from ocean water, expands around the Antarctic during the winter and contracts during the summer. Polar amplification, the phenomenon wherein the increase in high-latitude temperatures exceeds that of the global mean temperature, is a clear indication that the Antarctic is not immune to the effects of climate change. The ice albedo feedback explains this phenomenon by showing that as the near-surface temperature rises, the ice melts, which in turn helps to raise the temperature. This is due to the fact that the albedo, or fraction of solar energy reflected by a surface, is lower for the ocean and the ground beneath than it is for the ice. Climate change has reduced the average extent of Arctic sea ice over the past 40 years, but not Antarctic sea ice. This statistically insignificant difference in Antarctic sea ice extent is due to a combination of factors, including strong internal variability and regional tendencies, whereby sea ice extent has increased in some regions and decreased in others. Nevertheless, there has been a significant decline in the extent of Antarctic sea ice since 2016. Though this decline in sea ice cover does add to global warming, it does not raise sea levels because the amount of water displaced by ice during its formation is equal to the amount added to the ocean during its melting. The mass of the Antarctic ice sheet has been decreasing since at least 1990, with the most rapid decline occurring in the past 10 years. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has determined in its 6th assessment report that in the Antarctic, both temperatures and ice sheet mass will keep rising. The ice sheet's growth is significantly slower than its retreat, so any further melting this century will not be reversible on a human timescale. Since the observed evolution of Antarctic sea ice is not adequately captured by climate model simulations, we are unable to draw any firm judgments regarding the degree of trust in these projections. The West Antarctic ice sheet has been steadily melting for some time, which may signal the onset or continuation of an unstable retreat that reinforces itself. However, this process is fraught with uncertainties. Marine ice sheet instability is the mechanism that would account for this erratic retreat. When the ice sheet's bed slopes inward, it disturbs the grounding line's position, which in turn causes the ice sheet's grounding line to recede, which in turn causes an influx of ice from the ice sheet to the sea, which in turn causes the ice sheet's thinning, and so on and so forth. Currently, global warming is projected to reach 37 degrees Fahrenheit by the century's end. If the Earth were to sustain a temperature of 36 to 38 degrees Fahrenheit, the ice sheet would melt almost entirely, but this process would take thousands of years. In the end, sea level rise, caused in part by the melting Antarctic ice sheet, will put humanity's adaptability to the test for quite some time. When sea levels rise significantly and disproportionately impact tropical countries after 2100, know that what happens in the Antarctic will most certainly not remain in the Antarctic.